Hello, and welcome to Have to Know History. It's history you just have to know. Last time we talked about ancient myth and legend. This time we're going to talk about royal drama. It's about a king who gets married several times in the quest to have a son. It's about his daughter who becomes furious about a vanished colony. It's an interesting story, and it's set in the Renaissance. Let's dig in. Let's start with Henry VIII. He became King of England in 1509, and like most kings, he wanted one big thing: an heir to the throne, preferably a male. Henry married Catherine of Aragon, a Spanish princess and daughter of the famous Ferdinand and Isabella, the same royal power couple who sponsored Christopher Columbus in his voyage in 1492. Now, Catherine wasn't a stranger. She had actually been married to Henry's older brother, Arthur, who died young. After some papal paperwork and political maneuvering, she and Henry married. They had one surviving child, a daughter named Mary, but no sons. And Henry, he wasn't thrilled. He believed that without a male heir, his dynasty, the Tudor line, was in danger. So he asked the Pope for a divorce, arguing that marrying his brother's widow was against biblical law, even though the Pope had already approved it the first time. The Pope, caught between politics and doctrine, said no. Spain was powerful. Catherine was Spanish royalty. Granting the divorce might have sparked a diplomatic crisis between England and Spain. So Henry said, "Fine, if you won't give me what I want, I'll start my own church." And that's exactly what Henry did. He broke away from the Roman Catholic Church, launched the Church of England, also called the Anglican Church, and declared himself its supreme head. No pope, no problem. He granted himself a divorce and married Anne Boleyn, hoping she'd give him a son. Spoiler, she didn't. Anne gave birth to a daughter, Elizabeth, and eventually lost Henry's favor. She was executed a few days later, and Henry would go on to marry 4 more women in his quest for a male heir. He did eventually have a son, Edward VI, with his third wife, Jane Seymour, but Edward died young. Before we move on, yes, Henry had 6 wives. Quick recap. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. Catherine of Aragon, divorced. Anne Boleyn, beheaded. Jane Seymour, died. Anne of Cleves, divorced. Catherine Howard, beheaded. Catherine Parr, survived. 6 marriages, 1 surviving son, and a whole lot of drama. After a short reign by Edward and a turbulent time under Mary, Henry's Catholic daughter with Catherine of Aragon, Elizabeth, daughter of Anne Boleyn, took the throne. And here's where things get a little interesting. Elizabeth I became known as the Virgin Queen. She never married, never had children, and never shared power. Under her rule, England stabilized. She was Protestant, but she had to be clever about it. Catholic Spain still had its eyes on England, and many in Europe hoped to restore Catholicism there. Now get this. After Mary's death, King Philip II of Spain actually proposed marriage to Elizabeth. Why? Politics. He figured if he married her, he could keep England Catholic, calm the tension, and maybe get those English privateers, basically government-approved pirates, to stop raiding Spanish ships. Remember that Spain had conquered the Aztecs and Incas and had boatload of gold going back to Spain. England took advantage of that and stole some gold from time to time. Philip wanted that to all stop. Elizabeth politely declined Philip's invitation of marriage. The pirates kept pirating, and Spain kept fuming. Enter Sir Walter Raleigh. He was smart, stylish, and bold, and Elizabeth liked him. Maybe she really liked him. Some historians think she had a bit of a crush on Sir Walter Raleigh. She gave him titles, treasure, and trust. But Raleigh made one royal mistake. He secretly married one of Elizabeth's ladies-in-waiting without her permission. That's a big no-no. Elizabeth was furious. She threw him in the Tower of London. Eventually, she let him out and even sent him on one last expedition to the Americas. But it went badly. Raleigh attacked a Spanish outpost, and when he returned to England, the new king, James I, had him executed to help smooth things over with Spain. But before that fall from grace, Raleigh had one big idea: an English colony in the New World. In 1585, he sponsored the first serious attempt at one on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. The goal? Expand English power and challenge Spain. But things went sideways fast. Supplies ran low, relationships with local tribes broke down, and when a ship finally returned years later, the colony was gone. The only clue? The word Croatoan carved into a post. The Lost Colony of Roanoke remains one of America's oldest mysteries. And here's the fun fact that ties it all together. Because Elizabeth never married and was known as the Virgin Queen, that whole region, including future colonies and eventually a state, was named in her honor. That's right, Virginia was named after Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen. Elizabeth ruled for 45 years and oversaw what's often called the Golden Age of England. Shakespeare was writing, English ships were sailing the globe, the arts, exploration, and science all flourished, and for the first time, England was really stepping into the world stage. All because one king wanted a son, couldn't get a divorce, and decided to blow up the religious order of Europe instead. So, how do we get from Henry's 6 wives to a lost colony to a U.S. state named Virginia? Because sometimes history turns on the tiniest hinges and leaves behind stories you just have to know. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Have to Know History. Subscribe for more.